This is the lighting gallery. We're in the Lyric Theatre. This is the area where all of the cables will come up and plug into the house system of lighting dimmers and lighting and power that the lighting needs. Across this space we've got up to 700 production dimmers. Well, we kind of end up with 700 at the end here. Each of these circuits basically gives us access to 6 lighting dimmers. So you can see the sockets here. Each of these gives us access to six circuits, and then you just keep multiplying the number of 6. But yeah, in any theatre there'll obviously be an amount which has been designed at full capacity. So in this theatre it's 700, in the other theatre it's 400. So that's kind of what we use this space for. On any particular day, this could be a lot busier looking. There'll be a lot of cables coming up over these bars. All of the cable go down, swoop down and across onto the actual bars where the lighting is. So yeah, that's what's kind of going on here. That's right, that's because a lot of theatre productions now are fully integrated in terms of their systems are being toured from one theatre to the next. So they have an integrated system which is designed to provide all the power that they need. So on this particular week we're going to have a look at another space to show you that sometimes it is required, but on this particular week the theatre production that we have in is fairly self-contained in terms of they have their own lighting dimmers, and what we're actually supplying to them is just a large power supply. I think it's quite often easier to talk about it in terms of power supplies that people understand and know from home. The plug that you use regularly for, say, plugging in a bedroom lamp, that's actually a 13 amp plug. In theatre, what we do is we go up in numerical values for the amount of amperage that's required. Just to give you sort of an example, because I always quite like to start with that kind of familiarity. The 13 amp goes up to 50 amp, and that's a very basic plug for the theatre circuit, for a lighting circuit. Then we go to 16, then we go to 32, then we go to 125. So these are number of amps per circuit for the power supply. Just to give you an example, in the Lyric Theatre we have a 400 amp power supply, so that's quite a lot of power, and you can see how we've got an infrastructure which is designed for the entire lighting package that a theatre show would need could just be self-contained in their own system, and it can just be connected to that specific power supply.
Bar 64 coming in! Heads up!
So this is the fly floor in the Lyric Theatre again, and this is where all of the bars of the theatre, the counterweight system that we've got here, this is where they are all operated. So when you come and see a show and you see any of this scenery flying up and down, that's where this is operated from. It's also where all the static bars with all of the lighting and all of the other rigging that we do for shows is operated from. So on any given show it could be one person up here, it could be a maximum of maybe up to like 12 people depending on the design of the show. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's basically like a big set of scales. The bar itself will have a certain amount of weight, and if I show you now on the cradle, and you'll see the cradle come up to the same height as me as the bar is moving down. So I'm moving the rope down, the bar itself moves down. And this is the cradle with the weights in. And as you can see, I'm moving this down and the bar comes down with it. So in this cradle we've got a series of weights. Each one of these is 9 kilograms. So this number of weights is equal to just the bar itself before anything is rigged on it. Once we've rigged certain things onto the bar itself, like some lighting equipment or some scenery or some sound equipment, we then have to apply more weights to equal the weight on the counterweight. That's how a counterweight system works.
We're pretty high up now.
Yep.
Tell us about where we are. What are we standing on at the moment?
This is our front of house grid. So this is above the auditorium in the Lyric Theatre. You can probably see some of the seats there in the background. We're up on the bridge height So you can see that over there we've got a couple of our lighting bridges. You can probably see some of the lights there that have been rigged. That's a permanent system that's in all the time. So up here is where we do all of the lighting that front lights the stage. And this area is an area where we will, it gives us access to the area, and we can put systems in. For example, the motors we talked about earlier. There's a motor system in at the moment which has our house truss. So it's a working platform to give you access to an area where you need to put some rigging equipment in. So that kind of is mainly what this area is used for. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. There's a sort of standard system that's in there all the time, and then companies, depending on the requirement of the particular show, they'll add in on top of the standard rig. So this is where we keep our house follow spots. You can probably see this one here, Robert Juliet Aramis. We've got 2 in-house. Sometimes on a particular show that needs more than that, they'll bring a towed follow spot in, so there might be another one in here. 3 is probably the maximum, and then it could be that if the shot is needing to be lower, they'd actually go onto a lower platform, maybe on the upper circle as well. These lights are pretty powerful. They're 2,500 watts. They are made by a French company called Robert Juliet, who are very good at what they do, and these are very precise lenses and optical outputs, and really nice. They'll give a very crisp, clear follow spot image on the stage. The operators will be asked to do different things. They will be asked to do pickups in a very particular place. For that, we have a sight on the side of the follow spot. So it's actually a piece of kit that comes from what people use on telescopes. Basically, the sight gives you the chance to be really exact about your pickup. So, for example, it could be a ballet where a ballerina is entering on one side of the stage, and it's very quick, and we want to be ready and waiting in the right position with the light off. We'll use the sight to point it at exactly the point where we want it to be, so we're ready. And then when the dancer enters the stage, the operator would then fade up the follow spot, and it will look all seamless and beautiful. Not at all, no. There's only certain types of shows that will need a follow spot. There would be definitely stand-up comedians, ballets, as I mentioned, contemporary dance. A lot of dance would use follow spot. Musicals, we are highlighting the lead vocalist on a song. Pantomimes, that kind of thing. Yeah, so the operators, for their safety, are given these work positioning harnesses. It's basically just a waist harness that keeps them safe, because once we are into operating the spots, we'll actually lift this mesher that you can see here, that will raise up, and it actually makes an opening that needs health and safety because it's big enough to fall out of. So yeah, it's basically like a seat belt for the operator. So this is the dimmer room. This is where all of the lighting circuits come back to, and it's where all of the it's where all the power is fed for the dimmers. So as you can see, it's quite a large room with lots of racks in here. Each one of these is 72 ways of dimming. It's broken down into a section of 12, just duplicated, and each one of them has a dedicated number to control the light. And then these are the protective circuit breakers and RCDs that make sure that we're protected should there be a fault on any of the systems. Each one of these modules is interchangeable, so we can pull one of these out and change it over for a different type. Most of these are 3,000 watts per dimmer. We can, for example, take this module away and put it in so that it's just a power supply, so it's just not a controllable circuit anymore, it's just on. Or we could make it so that it's a triggerable switch, so that it's just, instead of it dimming up and down, it's just a switch that's on and off. So yeah, quite a good system.